Hi everybody, welcome back. This is Tristan from Tag Translations and Design. You'll also know me from OP Localization and Translation. You can see my wife's arm there in the back. Hi Gabby. Okay, today we're going to be talking a little bit about search engine optimization, and we're going to touch very briefly on analytics. And so, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so search engine optimization, or SEO, is adjusting your website so that it can be easily read by the programs used by companies like Bing and Google to actually read and categorize your website. This is how they judge what links to put on the first page, what goes on the second page, and so on and so forth. This is called your search engine ranking. Now, most of the time for a particular industry, depending on the size of your company and some other factors, this isn't a huge deal, just because there's so much competition in the freelance translation area, and there's so many translation agencies, and we also have to deal with Google Translate putting Google Translate on the first position in its search rankings, and Bing doing the same thing with Bing Translation, and Yahoo doing the same thing with Babelfish. So there's a lot of competition, there's a lot of clutter, and it can make it really difficult to show up on those first pages. However, but having good focused SEO will help you find or bring more clients to your website. And if you're able to focus on a specific niche, focus on specific industries, and focus on specific areas, you can bypass a lot of that clutter. So today we're specifically going to be looking at meta descriptions, keywords, backlinking, and social media integration. And then at the end of the video, we're going to be looking a little bit at analytics and how we're going to take that information in the next video and improve the SEO of our current website. And then once we're finished with all that, I do have a piece of homework for you, but we'll talk about that at the end of the video. So if you do get bored, at least skip to the end of the video, like the last 15 seconds, so that way you can see what the homework is and you can do it anyways. Otherwise, our next video is going to be really boring. Alright, so let's go ahead and start out with our site description. We can get to that here under Settings, SEO, and here we go. So our site description is right here. This is where we put in our keywords. This is where we put in our footer codes and our header codes. And we're going to talk about all these here individually in a second. So let's start with the site description. So it's basically what describes your website. So we're going to look up the word gnome here on Google. And here we go. This is the site name, which is the site title, same thing we have right here. And then this is the site description. Site description, and so on. Basically, it is what the website is about. And it's a brief description that you can give about your services to somebody who hasn't actually clicked on your link yet. And so this is really important because this captures somebody's attention before they actually click on your link. And typically when I go through and I'm looking for something online, the first thing I will look at is actually the site description, because that's going to tell me what it is specifically I'm looking for. And it'll tell me if this website has it. And then you have your meta keywords. So your keywords are actually the words or phrases that people use to find your website. So if we come back over here to our example, we're looking for gnome. Now if we want to look for gnome translator, we have the gnome translation projects, we have text translators, and then these are probably softwares. In this particular case, gnome and translator are the keywords that we're using. And so if we come back over here, we would be putting that kind of information in our meta keywords. And let's check my notes. Okay, so one of the hardest questions, and one of the things that has to change and has to upgrade throughout the life of your website, and that's one of the reasons why Weebly is so great, because you don't have to go through and enter the codes and do anything crazy. You can change everything right from here, is keeping your keywords up to date. Okay, so the next question is, what do we put in our keywords? And that can be really easy or it can be really hard. Now if you think back to the last video when we were talking about how we can focus on a specific niche with our blogging, we can do the same thing with the keywords. Okay, so in this particular case we're talking about dragons, we're talking about dragon translation, we're talking about how to translate dragons, or how to interpret for a dragon, we're talking about the video game itself, we're talking about themes, which is from the video game, we're talking about dragon shouts, elder scrolls, and so on. Then we have a little bit over here, is how to get started as a translator, translation blogs, language blogs, stuff like that. So that gives you an idea of what kind of things you want to be putting in there. Typically anything that you're going to be blogging about, probably a good idea to throw that in here too. And then when you're working on your blog, and I believe we mentioned this previously, but just to be safe, when you're working on your blog, you actually have, under advanced options, your SEO post title and your SEO post description. And that'll do the same thing. So if somebody searches specifically for, if I'm a gnome and I'm blogging, am I just nogging? That'll show up. Actually, let's find out if it shows up. There it is. We are on the first page. Check that out. That was easy. So, I don't know what nogging is, but we're ranking really high on it. And that's good. We're awesome. So, there's that. Come back over here to our settings. And so, by using those different titles, by using those specific keywords, we can focus in on our specific target's audience. Okay? In my particular case, I focus a lot on video game translation. I also work a lot in legal translation. So I do a lot of keywords that have to do with immigration and commercial law and contracts and stuff like that, because that's my bread and butter. Alright, so keywords, 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 keywords. Make sure that's everything we want to talk about keywords. Okay. So the next thing we want to talk about is backlinking. And let me read my description because I did a really good job writing this. Backlinking is how search engines determine how relevant your content is. If lots of other sites link back to yours, or if people share your content in social media, your rank will go higher because you're showing that you have useful content. Think of it this way. You use, say, Google to search for terms because it usually gives you what you need in the first few entries. The more you search to them, the more money they make, and so they want to provide the best results possible. Okay, so how do we get backlinks? I like using this particular tool. It's free, it's Attracta, and there'll be a link to this in the description, and it's attracta.com. And so what they'll do is they will actually guide you through a lot of the steps that we normally have to go through, like creating a sitemap, submitting it, and all that other stuff. So I intentionally left this one with a low score because I wanted to show you how it worked. Okay. But if you wanted to go through and create a new one, you hit Add Site, put in your web address right here. Now I don't have any other web addresses to put up, so we're not going to be able to do this. And they'll take you through a series of questions and steps that will help them determine what kind of website you have, what kind of industries you're going to be focusing on, and just generally help you find the backlinks that you need. And it will also help you set up your accounts and set up everything else that you need to do. We're going to take a look at that real quick. So let's come back over here to Home. Okay, and you can see we already set up Dragon Translator. We got in Google, we got our blacklist checked, we've got some links built, and we have our listings. Okay. Alright, so first thing we're going to take a look at is we're going to look at poor OPL10NT9in.com. Makes a lot more sense when you think about it. Okay, so we're going to take a look at my blog real quick. So the first thing we need to do is submit a sitemap to Google. So I'll click right over here on complete this step. It says you are overdue. The last I submitted 44 days ago. Oops. Okay. And so they make it really easy. You just click submit and create sitemap, and they'll take care of everything for you. Now what a sitemap is, it is an actual map of your website that tells the web crawlers, which is the program used to read your website, how many links you have, where all the links go to, what kind of content's on there. So that way, when the crawler comes through, the first thing it's going to check is that map. Say, okay, there's 7 links here, I got to make sure I find those 7 links. And it'll go through and it'll read those 7 links. And if you have something, for example, that you don't want the web crawlers to find, you can say, okay, there's 10 links here, but I only want you to read 3 of them. And it'll only go through and read the 3 that you tell it to read. It's kind of cool. And so there we go. Everything has been created, submitted, and accepted. Alright, next step is blacklisting. And what will happen is a lot of times a website will get infected with malware, it will have viruses stashed on it, and so Google and the other web browsers, the other search engines, will actually eliminate that site from their lists so that way people don't accidentally download something that they don't want. You can see it right here where it talks about that. and there's almost a million of them. So we're going to check and make sure that everything's fine, and we're not being blocked. Woohoo! And then this is where we talk about our link building. Let's click on this real quick and see if it'll let us do it. Oh, good. So I'll ask you a little bit of information first about your business. It'll ask you for your company description, and it'll talk a little bit about what the website's for. This is actually going to change to this one. I guess we could do this one. Anyways, we click on those, and then we can come through and select these different areas. We can select what times we're open, upload a logo, and then submit. And then they'll go through and they'll look over everything, and they'll find sites that are high-value sites that can then link back to your site, and then that will help your overall SEO. This is all totally legal. This is all white hat stuff. Black hat is the illegal stuff. That's the stuff that we don't want to do. White hat's okay. And then the last step is to check out our new listings. And if we click on this, it'll show us where we rank more or less and what our site looks like. So here we go. That's us, 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 us. That's all us. There's a lot of this stuff. That's what we got over here. That's all us. So that's how it works. It's pretty cool. Okay, so that's Attracta. Let's come back over here to our website. Okay. And we're going to talk about this and this here in a second. The next thing I want to talk about as far as building up your SEO is social media integration. Now, a lot of times in a lot of the overall comments on things like Pros and other translator forums is people say, you want me to use Facebook for my professional work? Or Twitter? Or any of those other things? Instagram? Pinterest? Yeah, we kind of do. It helps. It really, really does. And the reason why is, like I was mentioned just a few moments ago, there's so many of us online right now, okay? Just looking at Pros, there's over 600,000 translators registered on Pros. That's a lot of translators. And so we have a lot of competition. There's hundreds and hundreds of thousands of websites for translators. And so it's really hard to make anything stand out because there's already so many other people there, okay? And so one of the things that we can do to help bring more traffic to the site is using things like Facebook and Twitter and Pinterest and all those other things. So how exactly does Facebook and Twitter help you find work? Well, it's easy. Facebook and Twitter and all those other things like LinkedIn and Instagram and Pinterest and I don't know what other ones there are. They have really, really good SEO. Okay, you search for anything, you're probably going to find a Facebook group or something that has to deal with it. So if we come back over here and we search for our GNOME, if we scroll down, there we go, Twitter. That's on the first page. That's a lot of results. How many results did we get? 5.77 million results. And Twitter's on the first page. It works. So what you can do is you start sharing some of your content, start sharing some of your blogs, start tweeting, start doing Facebook stuff, and getting people to interact with what it is that you're doing. And so you can talk about a project that you're working on within NDA's limits. You can talk about new software that you found that you really like. You can talk about a blog that you read that you really like. You can talk about this new song by Weird Al Yankovic that everybody seems to be obsessed with. For good reason, he's awesome. And then that will help increase your ranking because as people come through and they interact with that, it's like creating another backlink saying, hey, here's another link saying that this site does provide valuable content. Let's go ahead and move it up in the ranking a little bit. And so that's how that works. And not only that, but if you use those websites, like Facebook and Twitter, if you use them effectively, and if you can go through and you can find groups that focus on video games, for example, in my case, I found a whole bunch of groups that are for independent video game developers. So people who are making video games in their spare time or who don't work for Microsoft or any of those other huge companies. They need their games to be translated too, but they may not have access to the same resources or people that Microsoft has. And so what do? They ask everybody else in the group, say, hey, what do I do to translate a video game? How do I do this? I say, I can help. And that's actually how I've been getting a lot of my work lately. It's awesome. I love it. You can do the same thing with Twitter. And I'm still working on Twitter. I'm getting better at it. But I've been using it, again, to help bring people back to my blog. I use it to bring people to my website. And I'm also directly contacting clients through it. And it's really, really cool. Even YouTube's good for it. Believe it or not. I haven't made any money off of this yet, but I'm working on it. So, let's keep scrolling down my list here. Okay, so that's a very brief overview of SEO, how it works, and how you can use it. There's a lot more information out there that you can find. Check out some of these other YouTube videos. Check out other blogs. You can read more about this on my own blog, where I talk a little bit more about social media and using that to find work. Some of this was actually snatched from that blog post, so skip over the parts you've already heard. And yeah, that should be a really big help. Alright, and for this last section, okay. Alright, now for the last part of the video, we're going to talk about something a little bit crazy, okay? This is the part where we get to spy on the people who visit our website. It's really fun. It's also a very important tool that we use to better improve our website, make sure we're providing the right content. Let's come back over here to Weebly, and we have this footer code, and we have a header code, alright? This is for Google, and this one is for Bing. Alright, let's come over here real quick. Alright, so this is Google Analytics, and personally I prefer Bing Analytics, but Google has some really neat stuff too, and it's a little bit easier to work with, okay? Especially when we're talking about it, including it and integrating it into Weebly. So this is the one for OP, and you can see I just installed it. It's said that since the 4th, I've had 100 sessions, 66 users. They've looked at 395 pages. Each person usually looks at 3.95 pages at a time. I can see what languages they're reading my stuff in. So, Russia, love you guys too. And so on. And we can see a lot of different information over here. I think one of my favorite ones I just found is behavior and the behavior flow. And what it does is it will actually tell you what people are doing when they get to your website. So you can see most people get to my website through the main page, and then they mostly go to the blog, and then it looks like they're reading some of the stuff off the blog, but then they go through and they look at different pages, and then from there they'll usually go and look at these other pages and so on. And so that can be really helpful, because this can help you identify where people are coming into the site from and where they're leaving from. That way you can tell if you have a problem on a website that's not working, if you're not getting people's attention, if they're not seeing the content that you want them to see. You can move your content, or you can move a link, or you can move whatever to the part where they're actually going to see it. And so it's really, really, really helpful. And so now we need to figure out how to put this into the website. Click on Admin. Once you've set up your account, it's free. Come over here to Properties. It will ask you to create a new property the first time, if I'm not mistaken. That's right here. Click on Tracking Information, Tracking Code. Copy this, paste it there, you're done. Okay, if you want to do the same thing with Bing, let's open Bing up real quick. Okay, so here we have an example for Bing, and as you can see, it's set up right now on our dragontranslator.weebly.com. We don't have any visits. Nobody is visiting the site, those punks. So what we're going to do, and this is part of your homework, is I want everybody to come to this site and click on stuff. We're going to come back to that in a second. Okay. Now let me show you how to install this information. From your dashboard, you're going to come to Configure My Site. You're going to come down here to Verify Ownership. And then you want this right here, just that code, because all the rest of this is already built into Weebly, so you don't need it. Just this one little code right there. And come back over here, paste it there, done. Make sure to save everything, and there you go. You'll be able to access the information. Alright, and then publish, just to make sure everything's finished, and we're good. Okay, so that's a quick look at SEO, and it's a quick, really quick look at Google Analytics and Bing Analytics. And we'll go into more detail for those in the next video. But what I need you to do right now is I need you to go to the website, the www.dragontranslator.weebly.com. Visit the site, click on links, explore different parts of it, and when we come back next week, we're going to look and see what all you guys have done, and we're going to see how well we are ranking in different search engines and so on. That way we can get a realistic idea of what kind of results we can expect after a week, and what kind of results we can look at after a month and after a year and so on. And so that's your guys' homework. Again, if you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comment section below. Make sure to like and subscribe. What that will do is YouTube will send you a notification every time we upload a new video, and that way you can keep up to date on all the crazy stuff I'm doing over here. So this is Tristan. I hope I've answered your questions. Have yourselves a great day. Peace.